Well, good morning. Hope you're doing really well. Just getting myself in the sun. It's a beautiful winter's day, and I'm in Rochester, as you probably know. I'm starting my journey at Rochester Castle because when you're in Rochester, you need stuff to film. Why wouldn't you start at Rochester Castle? Extremely iconic and so beautiful no matter what time of season. Like I said, the mist rolling in, the frost on the ground starting to melt, beautiful. So today I've been allowed special access and permission, so this is going to be a very beautiful, hopefully a beautiful documentation of the George Vaults, the vaulted crypts underneath the George wine bar. And I'm very excited because I've never actually, do you know what? I've been into most pubs and bars in Rochester, but I've never been into the George, so it's going to be a first for me to even go in there, which would be nice. And I think we're going to learn a lot today, so stay with me and let's enjoy this exclusive access to document the George Vaults. So see you on the other side. Bye for now. Rochester can lay claim to many hidden secrets underneath this historic town's high street, and so one of the more well-known underground treasures is that of the George Vaults. Labelled as a Grade 2 listed 14th century crypt, it's underneath the wine bar that you will find this truly beautiful piece of long lost history. Now used as a place to rent out for functions and events, the actual vaulted crypt was dated to around 1325 and lies underneath the street level of the high street. At one point it was noted that in its earliest phase on the street level it could have dated to the 10th century and been some prestigious timber frame building, perhaps with stone cladding. The crypt is divided into 4 bays, with the chamber itself measuring 54 foot long, 16 foot wide and 11 foot high. And being made of chalk ashlar and rubble masonry, we know that due to its location being a stone's throw away from the cathedral and the castle, that the house above at the time this crypt was being built was of considerable importance. With the ornate carvings and the beautiful construction, it could have been a place of high religious regard. With that being said, the crypt owes its origin to the Chamberlain of the Priory during the time of the Bishop of Gundulph of Rochester, who was a Norman monk that ended up in Rochester following the Norman conquest. The medieval crypt is one of a few in Rochester and easily the most well known, having been used as a skittle alley and more obviously as a beer cellar. This place is a classic case of if the walls could talk. Eventually the above building was turned into a pub, originally known as the St George and Dragon. The building burnt down in 1768 and is now known as the George Vaults. As you can imagine, with a place packed with history, it has been rife with paranormal tales and unexplained noises. This place still has many more secrets left to be revealed and plays an important role in this town's incredible history and heritage. Hello and welcome to the George Vaults, the infamous vaulted crypts in the heart of Rochester, or in Rochester High Street. Now, as you could see, we sort of descended from street level going down. And it's quite dark in here, but for obvious reasons, it's quite atmospheric. I didn't bring any torches because I wanted to try and sort of give you that sort of vibe that this place sort of seems to hold. But we're here, we've made it. Behind us is the bar, and obviously we'll just guide you through all of this. It's not that big, as you can imagine, but what the atmosphere and everything else that contains within this is truly spectacular. So I apologise for lighting, but we'll do the best we can. So let's explore it. Come on. So, welcome to the George Vaults. Welcome to the crypt. It's absolutely amazing down here. There's a few things to tell you that obviously weren't in a history lesson, which was why I was kind of like a bit cautious. I was thinking, I don't want to give away too much in that history lesson, because if I do that, I'm not going to be able to, it's going to be less exciting to point stuff out for you. So, the first thing we need to do is head back that way. So let's have a look. Ignore the tripod. And we're going to start the video here, and you'll understand why, and then we're going to end the video here, well, in relevance to this. So this little arched portal, believe it or not, behind and up and around, used to be a stairwell that came all the way down, and it would have ended up here. And what they reckon was that it might have been the actual entrance or passageway that was linking within here. Now, there's not much to see on top, but I'm going to end the video going out there and doing that. So stay tuned for that. But that is linking up to this. So behind this, there would have been a set of stairs linking out, and it was rumoured that that might have been, well, it's definitely an entranceway, but whether it was the official one or not. So there you go, that's your first treat for today. Another thing is that underneath us, it's possible that there might have been another underground section hidden underneath this cryptid area anyway. Now, that might have been just a different phase, or it might have been a completely unique underground section, which is very possible. Now, I've mentioned to a few people out there, Rochester High Street is flooded with different types of tunnels. Now, I need to make that very clear to people, different types. It's not just rumours of smuggling tunnels or chalk access tunnels, or all the works of all of these types of things. All I can say from all the research that I've done, and we're talking like 20 plus years now of research since I was an early teenager, was that we know that there's tunnels from the cathedral, castle and many pubs along Rochester, but to categorise them is different, and most of them we will never see in our lifetime because they will be bricked up for health and safety. I mean, you've got to imagine most of these tunnels, even at the earliest dates of medieval, you know, to see a medieval tunnel in its essence anyway is a rare thing. So to see one surviving is even rarer, especially in the UK. We can debate that for ions, but really it's the stability of it, which goes back to what I'm going to show you now. So, bear with me, and we need to have a look at this. Actually, these. Okay, so we're now at the back of the vault, technically facing into the high street. So where this stops, the high street is literally here. Now, these probably are the best bit of the crypt. Now, again, it's kind of strange because most of the stuff we're going to be talking about, it's gone through multiple uses, and I will discuss that even more. But this is rumoured to be one of the bricked up portal tunnels. This one, I think, probably was the one that would have linked up to Rochester Castle, potentially. So you can see it is very bricked up. It's got a few spiders' webs in it. And they assume that that was one of the tunnels. Now, they've reinforced this behind it for safety. So you can see the modern bricks there. But these arches here now, We may come to talk about that a little bit later, because there's a lot of different unique stuff here that you could easily blink and you'll miss it. So that's blocked off. Then as we walk around the bar, I'm very lucky to do this. Here is the other one. And that one, probably, well, rumoured to be, pretty certain it would link up to the cathedral. So, now we've got to do is stand back. Can you see these steps, by the way? Look at that. Now what we've got to do is stand back and point these out. So now in the centre of the bar. So that is potentially a portal tunnel to the cathedral. And that one is potentially a portal tunnel to the castle. And I'm not saying anything because I think that that's actually probably very feasible. And it's very, very interesting. I'm always a bit dubious sometimes of tunnels and everything else, but on this it definitely stacks up. If we look here, I should have actually gone in whilst I was there, but it's okay. You can see it plenty clear enough. It's kind of strange because we have to sort of like eliminate the modern and see these beautiful little chambers that were here and these beautiful arches. And it's just magical down here. And obviously this is extremely haunted down here, as we're reputed, and we've already had a bit of haunted activity. So the lights here are on a dimmer switch. You can create different types of lights down here, and we had really bad trouble getting them to the lights that you see here, which are these white ones. I'm pretty sure they're not as bright as they should have been. They were flickering, they weren't behaving themselves. So instead, Carla has kindly lit some candles to create some extra ambience and light, which is brilliant. Now, right. Now what we need to do is look up. So, the thing that really sets this place off is, apart from the creaky floorboards, is the beautiful masonry stonework that we have here. It is so remarkably pretty. I mean, I really mean that. There's no words can do this justice. You may also have noted that this one is at a little bit of a crook. Can you see that? It's sort of like a bit of a dodgy Scalextric track. But this really is what makes it, and it's the thing that when you walk down, because you're walking down these steps, you can sort of like, you're entering then the sort of underground layer, and then it just hits you here. Isn't that incredible? And it is just this beautiful stonework. This masonry is absolutely stunning. And it's nice that where they've placed the lights, it really does sort of help illuminate this incredible working here. I mean, I could spend numerous hours just looking in absolute detail at these and being absolutely floored by it. It's so nice. And you often, I mean, this is the thing, this is, whether you're religious or not, I think that the principle is that the architecture itself is some of the best you can find, whether it's in churches or cathedrals or anything like that. It's just stunning. And there's that beautiful, again, it's hard to sort of like compromise just how white this is, this sort of chalk. It's absolutely beautiful. And then you've got this rubbled sort of coursing here. But to know that, I mean, to know that where we are standing right now, right in the centre, actually, I'll stand underneath this light. Where we're standing, right underneath the centre of this crypt now, there's a portal that goes off that way. There's two portals that go off that way. There's potentially another layer underneath here. We'll never know. We might do maybe in the future. It's a place that can really put Rochester's heritage on a really unusual sort of scale of debunking some of the rumours, because we know then by looking at these that there are definitely, the tunnels exist is what I'm trying to sort of say, and even though they're blocked off, which I don't mind, it's the hard work and preservation and conservation that has been gone and done in, not only for a health and safety reason to block it off, but to know that we can assume that these do spread off in. And especially at the George Vaults, which I really appreciate, which is, it makes sense that there is one side that would go to the cathedral, which would be on the left, and then one sort of to the castle on the right. It would make absolute sense. And I do know of a few other pubs in Rochester where they've got similar tunnels. Now, this is the final thing I want to talk to you about on this. So, the other thing that is worth mentioning is that we know that there's every possibility that this building in particular would have been used for smuggling at some point. The idea that this would have been used as storage. Now, whether those were bricked up or not at the back, who knows? But we definitely know this probably would have been, and it would have been perfect for storage for smuggling as well. So that's also something we can tick off the list. So we can sort of say, right, this place has got tunnels that lead off X, Y, Z. We also know that it had smuggling use. There's paranormal connections, whether you're inclined to that or not. Obviously religious use, because this is the thing that we always keep having to forget. This is a vaulted crypt, and yet we don't look at it in that way. And I kind of like that, because it challenges us. It means that there is so much phasing going on in this place that it just blows our minds, really. But I'm so blown away every time I look here. And yet, I've played in many pubs in Rochester, done Sweeps Festival, done a lot. I'm practically a native here. And yet I've never been into George Vaults. And now I have, and I've got this access. It's truly an honour. Look at this, just pretty, isn't it? So pretty. And then we've got our own little, so this is another thing I would like to show you. So it's obviously the information section. This is the George Vaults, originally a George Inn. Here we go, vaulted crypt, 1325. We talked about this, dimensions. That's been scratched out, so don't ignore that. It's nearly one something year. Crypto's Chamberlain Priory. We talked about that. Georgians gone Skittle Alley, yep, and then obviously, yeah, this was the other thing I completely forgot to mention. It is in the history lesson, as you know. This was a bowling alley used for cockfighting, obviously for storage of beer as well. Perfect. Can you imagine the atmosphere when that was happening? Prized fights, yeah, look at that. And then the rumour of this being the site of the Church of St Mary, I think it is. The wall, which is mentioned in many old works, has never been traced. So that was another thing. Again, this is just what I was saying to you about the whole point of like this video, was that try and get a nice history lesson for you, but to also encompass other things. So obviously, like I said, in the history lesson you knew that it was used for Skittles. So can you imagine that? They're playing Skittles down here, cockfighting, yeah, loads of stuff. Obviously beer storage, smuggling, etc, etc. But also the rumour that this might have been the Church of St Mary that was here. But it just adds to the lore of Rochester, doesn't it? It just adds to this whole isn't it, you know, sort of thing. And I love it. And obviously where it's situated, you know, it just makes so much sense. Right, so as promised, we're going to come out of the vaults themselves, and we're now going to have a look at the little stairway that links to that over there, that little arch, tiny thing. We're going to have a look at what remains of it. You can't see much, to be fair, but you'll get an idea of it. We're going to have a look at that, and then that's pretty much it. We're pretty much done. So let's go out there and take a look. Right, so we're now at the back, or actually the side of the George Vaults, and this is what I wanted to show you. Now, this may look like nothing, but let's try and get round. So ignore all this for the moment. Underneath here is where they've obviously tarped it up. Underneath there is where these stairs or steps would lead into the side passage of the vaults. So the actual vaults themselves are underneath here, underneath ground level. It's very hard to sort of tell, but they're underneath here, and that's the top of where they've uncovered these steps that lead into that. So yeah, nice bit of a bonus history. Like I say, it's not much, you're literally looking at tarp, but if you can get a closer look, trying to get you in there, see that there's a lot of rubble and masonry. So yeah, that's where it would have led out to. Very interesting. But I need to get back in because it's freezing cold out here. Come on. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? So, in the immortal words of Phoenix history, thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful little journey into Rochester's underground history, we'll label it as. Like I said, this is probably the most well-known one, but yet it's the most fascinating one because of how just there is an atmosphere down here paranormal wise, as we probably know, but not only that, it's just the history and phasing. I'm sure I'm probably not going to capture all of this in the way that it should come across. Like we said, it's not the biggest crypt you're ever going to see in the world, but it is still so historically important. I think we've looked at some of the rumours and tried to sort of like figure out our best guesses for these potential tunnels that are here, and obviously the linkways and everything else. So it's been really good, I feel. Brilliant. So glad to have the access. Feel free to, I would love it if you could just go down, show your support to the George Vaults in the links below in the About section. So go have a look down there. And the general public, such as yourselves, can visit this. You can walk down here and even have a drink. So isn't that brilliant? I've obviously got the access to document this as a form of historical documentation. So I'm so happy about doing that. And like I said, I don't think the history that I've gone into is ever going to do this place justice. And I'm sure there's plenty more secrets to be revealed. So thank you so much for coming along with me. Hope you had a really nice time. Another exclusive ticks off the list. I'm so happy, and it's in Rochester, a place that I love. So thank you for coming along with me. Hope you had a really nice time. And yeah, in the immortal words of Phoenix history, because history matters, it really does, doesn't it? And I will see y'all very soon. Take care for now, everybody. Bye. Kapow!